Oh, yeah, I saw this. Okay, this is actually, like, crazy. I think. I don't know if they're just blowing smoke up our ass or, like, this is a big fucking deal. Fusion energy. Some crazy new energy, like, breakthrough, which is massive, potentially. Or it's just, you know, blowing smoke. I don't know. I'm not a fucking physicist.
Lawrence Livermore National Lab, National Ignition Facility made the following happen. There's a tiny cylinder here at the end of this that you probably can't see. It's about so tall and this wide. Inside that was a small spherical capsule about half the diameter of a BB. 192 laser beams entered from the two ends of the cylinder and struck the inner wall. They didn't strike the capsule, they struck the inner wall of this cylinder and deposited energy, and that happened in less time than it takes light to move 10 feet. So it's kind of fast. X-rays from the wall impinged on the spherical capsule. Fusion fuel in the capsule got squeezed. Fusion reaction started.
Like, I don't know how to turn it up. I've got this shit maxed out audio. Oh, I guess I can turn this up. Hang on.
This had all happened before, 100 times before.
I might be able to turn it up.
But last week, for the first time, they designed this experiment so that the fusion fuel stayed hot enough.
Right, it's maxed out now.
Round enough for long enough that it ignited. And it produced more energies than the lasers had deposited. About 2 megajoules in, about 3 megajoules out. A gain of 1.5. The energy production took less time than it takes light to travel 1 inch. Kind of fast. So this is pretty cool. I have a special message to listeners who want to work on exciting, challenging, and important problems. We're hiring.
That didn't really do a good job of... Everyone would love science if this guy explained it all to us. I feel like there's got to be a more dumbed down thing. If this is legit, it will change everything. I feel like... fuck, I don't know where I watched it, but it was something like they were saying... I think it was Neil deGrasse talking about it. Fuck, let me see. What's it called? Explains what has... Okay. New fusion shit. Neil deGrasse. I don't care if I spelled anything right. Where the fuck is it? How do you spell it? deGrasse. Not deGrasse. 4 years ago. 2 days ago? That can't be it. What do I type in here? The reaction made more energy than it took to cause the reaction to happen. What does that fucking mean? I don't know. Oh, Christ. Why fusion? Okay, here we go.
We are one step closer to unlimited power. Scientists from California's Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory set to announce a major breakthrough in so-called fusion energy. In other words, it's a BFD. Fusion energy
what is a BFD?
Any carbon, does not produce any radioactive waste. So what does that mean for the you and the me? Joining me in studio, astrophysicist at the American Museum of Natural History. He's the author of Starry Messenger.
Oh, big fucking deal.
Perspectives on Civilization, a phenomenal book. A wonderful man. Neil deGrasse Tyson returns.
Thanks for having me back.
Oh yeah, this is so exciting. I mean, I love your book. We did a wonderful podcast about it.
Yes, we did.
And you illuminated some of the more interesting aspects of your life and culture and your view on such from a global perspective, galactic perspective. But now,
a cosmic perspective.
Absolutely right. But we may be able to harness the power of at least our star. So what does this fusion discovery mean for
Many
us?
people, when they think of nuclear energy, they think of nuclear fission, which was the energy source in the 2 bombs used in the Second World War. Very quickly after that, we magnified the energy of those bombs by creating a whole other kind of bomb, which came to be known as hydrogen bombs. The hydrogen bombs don't have the radioactive baggage that fission bombs do. Hydrogen bombs are fusion. So fission, let's back up. Fission, you take a big atom, break it, and you weigh those two atoms, and they weigh less than what you started with. Where did the mass go? E equals mc squared. The mass went to energy. You can do the same thing, but coming from the other direction. You take a very light atom, hydrogen, fuse it together with another hydrogen atom, and you get helium. And your product has less mass than you started with. Once again, you get energy, but you don't have all of the byproducts. We made fusion for 60 years. The problem was we don't have controlled fusion, and when we don't have controlled fusion, it's called a bomb. But when you control it, then you can throttle it, you can valve it, you can put it where you need to, and how
you see him just spit everywhere.
And
I don't know if y'all saw that.
Right at this moment, I don't think people know for sure what the announcement will be. But if the Secretary of Energy is giving the press conference, everyone I think is thinking that we finally can get out more energy than we put in, and that is the.
Oh, and that has been the key, because for so long we've been trying for decades.
It's been the holy grail, and I thought we would have reached that in the 80s,
yes,
but then we didn't. Maybe it's because peace broke out in Europe and people took less interest in what physicists could do.
Yes, and we had a different type of nuclear energy for quite some time.
Well, that's right. That's right. No, but there was physics labs still working on this. Here's the problem. In order to have fusion, you need very hot plasma, which is like an ionized gas. So hot that it can't touch anything that might contain it. If I give you plasma and put it in a suitcase, the suitcase would vaporize. So one of the great problems is the containment of such very high temperature gas. And because the gas is like ionized, which means there are free electrons moving around, you can contain it in a magnetic vessel, a magnetic bottle, a magnetic shape, so that it tries to escape it, but it can't because it's charged and it repels the magnetic field. These are the challenges that the physicists faced for decades.
All right, so let's say we've overcome some of those challenges and finally created more energy than we put into the experiment.
That's it.
So when do we get fusion stations? When do I get to plug my car in the fusionorium?
So now it's up to the engineers.
Okay.
Once we get the physics figured out, which it seems like we have, then the engineers say, can I make that smaller? Can I make it portable? Would it fit in a car? Or is it only the size that might power a city? There are places that don't have access to energy, either oil or even sunlight, for example, and so, or tidal or hydro. So this would be transformative to civilization. And I see it akin to the transition from horses to automobiles.
Yes.
Which happened in a matter of a couple of years because we got the physics figured out for engines and internal combustion engines. And when that happened, you couldn't give away a horse, yet we were riding horses for thousands of years, building civilization literally and figuratively on its back. So my analogy to that is, we've been digging fossil fuels out of the ground for 150 years.
How long will it take to heal the planet from any harm that we have done to ourselves?
Yeah, because here we are, like
carbon emissions,
harming a planet that itself was trying to sustain us.
Yeah.
That's not by doing
Come
that.
on, Neil.
You've sown the seeds of your own extinction, and so the planet will heal slowly. Yes. A lot of the carbon is uptook into the oceans. So if you start dropping the carbon in the atmosphere, the oceans will equilibrate with that. So it'll take time. But now is better than any time later than now. So, I'm giddy.
I can't wait. I can't wait for my fusion engine.
It's a pivot. It's a pivot.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I listen to this, I'm like, okay, so I feel like a lot of smoke is being blown up our ass, and it's like part 1 of like 100 is completed, but part 1 is done, or part 48 of 100. Maybe it is part, 100 of 100. I don't know.
Civilization.
I'm sick of all these gassy dictators.
Still big,
running
but
things and ruining people's lives.
Right.
I don't mind a level playing field, because I know that beautiful innovations and capitalism will follow when people have the energy.
Yes, of course.
Watch Hank Green's video on it. Yeah, I need someone like that to explain to me like I'm just fucking brained, because I am. Hank Green, shit. Maybe I shouldn't type that.
We are one step closer to unlimited
was that, did I give me
power. Scientists
2 years ago, 9 years ago? Dang it. Hank Green fusion thing. 5 days ago. Things are changing very fast. Is this it? or the problem with nuclear fusion? Or is it fission? Which one is it? Fusion energy. Let's type fusion energy. Fission. Okay. Fission's what they're trying to do. I'm all confuzzled. Yeah, this video keeps coming up. Let's see.
Nuclear fusion has been a pipe dream for decades. Always 20 years away, never 19. It's easy to
nuclear fusion. This is fusion. No, they are creating fusion. Is this the right video? Do I fucking watch this? This is not Hank Green. I'm gonna kill myself. Like, God fucking damn it. Someone just gotta link it to me because I'm just too fucking stupid.
U.S. scientists.
God damn it. Oh, Bill Nye. All right, let's go.
Making a huge breakthrough.
I gotta see what Bill Nye has to say.
For the first time ever, researchers have been able to create energy from a fusion reaction. Now, Laura, I could explain all of this in great detail, of course. But basically, it's a giant step towards a clean energy future without dependence on fossil fuels.
Enough said. It's the end of the show.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you know, everyone. The Department of Energy is expected to officially announce the breakthrough in just a few hours. But here to help explain it to us all, CNN Chief Climate Correspondent Bill Weir and science educator Bill Nye, host of The End Is Nigh. Let me begin with you, Mr. Nye, on this point, because although Allison and I clearly know everything about
if you have any
nuclear
questions,
fusion,
Bill,
feel free to ask us any questions you might have. But could you just explain for those of us who don't know how this is such a miraculous occurrence?
So I'll ask you a question. Do you know that the sun is a continuous fusion reaction?
Naturally.
It has a continuous.
definitely.
Do you really or not? So a nuclear weapon can be like we had at the terminate World War II. We're splitting very large atoms apart. Gave off tremendous amount of energy. But there's another amazing thing that happens in nature where you smash tiny, tiny parts of atoms together, protons, and they fuse and convert a tiny amount of their mass into energy, into heat and light. And that was the mythic hydrogen bomb. But for all this time, for 80 years, people have tried to get this idea where you could do it in a controlled fashion using a tiny amount of material, and the material would be hydrogen that has an extra neutron, which has this marvelous word deuterium. And then if it has two extra neutrons, that's tritium. And so using lasers, they zap this container, this whole rum, this gold thing with the deuterium in it, and the lasers create X-rays, and the X-rays create constructively interfering shock waves that get the thing to fuse without a giant magnetic bottle and without the gravity of a star. And so this is the first time, by all accounts, they've gotten more heat out than they put in. And this is amazing. And
so in here is the atom? How do they hold the atom in place when they're fucking cutting it in half? Or splitting it? Like, I don't fucking know. It's deuterium. I thought we're splitting an atom. I mean, you know what? I wish someone would, I need a picture book for this. Because words don't do anything for me. I am a picture learner. I need to see the atom. How are you holding this atom in place? I assume magnets. Or something. Like, from all directions. I don't get it. Splitting is fusion. Okay, so they're combining an atom. How are they doing it? I just want to see it. Oh God, it's so like it's so small. How are you doing this tiny thing that is not grabbable? I don't get it. It's lasers. Sure, you say lasers, but like, what the fuck does that mean? I understand if I took a and I could through an apple, I'm cutting it in half, or you know, you take. How does a laser push two things together? What the fuck does that mean? I'm as confused. Heat? Okay. How are you like What the fuck? It's so small. I don't get it. You see where I'm confused? Physics. Like, you're just throwing keywords at me. Lasers. Physics. Magnets. Okay. What the fuck? I don't know. What the fuck? Heat. God damn it. Okay, here's a fucking video.
The fundamental
This is for me. This is what I maybe need. Okay.
currency of our universe is energy.
God damn it.
It lights our homes, grows our food, powers our computers. We can get it lots of ways: burning fossil fuels, splitting atoms, or sunlight striking photovoltaics. But there's a downside to everything. Fossil fuels are extremely toxic, nuclear waste is, well, nuclear waste, and there are not enough batteries to store sunlight for cloudy days yet. And yet, the sun seems to have virtually limitless free energy. Is there a way we could build a sun on Earth? Can we bottle a star?
Okay.
The sun shines because of nuclear fusion. In a nutshell, fusion is a thermonuclear process, meaning that the ingredients have to be incredibly hot, so hot that the atoms are stripped of their electrons, making a plasma where nuclei and electrons bounce around freely.
Okay.
Since nuclei are all positively charged, they repel each other. In order to overcome this repulsion, the particles have to be going very, very fast. In this context, very fast means very hot. Millions of degrees. Stars cheat to reach these temperatures. They are so massive that the pressure in their cores generates the heat to squeeze the nuclei together until they merge and fuse, creating heavier nuclei and releasing energy in the process. It is this energy release that scientists hope to harness in a new generation of power plant, the fusion reactor. On Earth, it's not feasible to use this brute force method to create fusion, so if we wanted to build a reactor that generates energy from fusion, we have to get clever. To date, scientists have invented two ways of making plasmas hot enough to fuse. The first type of reactor uses a magnetic field to squeeze a plasma in a donut-shaped chamber where the reactions take place. These magnetic confinement reactors, such as the ITER reactor in France, use superconducting electromagnets cooled with liquid helium to within a few degrees of absolute zero, meaning they host some of the biggest temperature gradients in the known universe. The second type, called inertial confinement, uses pulses from superpowered lasers to heat the surface of a pellet of fuel, imploding it, briefly making the fuel hot and dense enough to fuse. In fact, one of the most powerful lasers in the world is used for fusion experiments at the National Ignition Facility in the US. These experiments and others like them around the world are today just experiments. Scientists are still developing the technology. And although they can achieve fusion, right now it costs more energy to do the experiments than they produce in fusion. The technology has a long way to go before it's commercially viable. And maybe it never will be. It might just be impossible to make a viable fusion reactor on Earth. But if it gets there, it would be so efficient that a single glass of
how old is this video? This is a 6-year-old video, so keep in mind.
Seawater could be used to produce as much energy as burning a barrel of oil with no waste to speak of. This is because fusion reactors would use hydrogen or helium as fuel, and seawater is loaded with hydrogen. But not just any hydrogen will do. Specific isotopes with extra neutrons, called deuterium and tritium, are needed to make the right reactions.
There's that word.
Deuterium is stable and can be found in abundance in seawater, though tritium is a bit trickier. It's radioactive, and there may only be 20 kilograms of it in the world, mostly in nuclear warheads.
How much?
And there may only be 20 kilograms of it
in the 20 kilograms in the world? Oh my god. Or whatever, kilos, whatever the fuck it is. That is like in the world?
In the world, mostly in nuclear warheads, which makes it incredibly expensive. So we may need another fusion buddy for deuterium instead of tritium. Helium-3, an isotope of helium, might be a great substitute. Unfortunately, it's also incredibly rare on Earth. But here, the moon might have the answer. Over billions of years, the solar wind may have built up huge deposits of helium-3 on the moon. Instead of making helium-3, we can mine it. If we could sift the lunar dust for helium, we'd have enough fuel to power the entire world for thousands of years. One more argument for establishing a moon base, if you weren't convinced already.
This feels like...
Okay, maybe you think building a big
video
sun
game
still sounds kind of dangerous. But they'd actually be much safer than most other types of power plant. A fusion reactor is not like a nuclear plant, which can melt down catastrophically. If the confinement failed, then the plasma would expand and cool, and the reaction would stop. Put simply, it's not a bomb. The release of radioactive fuel like tritium could pose a threat to the environment. Tritium could bond with oxygen, making radioactive water, which could be dangerous as it seeps into the environment. Fortunately, there's no more than a few grams of tritium in use at a given time, so a leak would be quickly diluted. So we've just told you that there's nearly unlimited energy to be had at no expense to the environment in something as simple as water. So, what's the catch? Cost. We simply don't know if fusion power will ever be commercially viable. Even if they work, they might be too expensive to ever build. The main drawback is that it's unproven technology. It's a $10 billion gamble, and that money might be better spent on other clean energy that's already proven itself. Maybe we should cut our losses. Or maybe, when the payoff is unlimited clean energy for everyone, it might be worth the risk. Videos like this one take hundreds of hours to make and are made possible by your contributions on patreon.com. If you want to learn more about global energy, here's a playlist about nuclear energy, fracking, and solar power.
So what I picked up at the very beginning, they heat this shit up so fucking much that the electrons just move so fucking fast that they break away. Or some shit. So it's just massive amounts of heat from lasers. It's heat. I was thinking like, oh, cut it in half. Or, I don't know. Or no, they... And then they smash. And then they fuse. Because they just smash so hard. Because they're all over so quickly. Okay. All right. Pictures. Excellent. I understand. And what exactly is the breakthrough specifically that they have achieved? I guess just doing it with lasers, they figured it out. What was the problem that was keeping them from doing it that is now causing this big breakthrough? It just works. Okay, they figured it out. They got more energy out than in. Okay. They can do it with a net positive energy, and that is important. I mean, what is the net positive? Is it just barely a little bit more so they can technically say that? Because, I don't know. I guess it is making free energy, but it's like, if it's not that much of a positive, how big of a fucking facility do you need of this doing this like 50,000 fucking times before it's like, you know, you can charge my cell phone? I don't know. I want to see these specifics. 1.5 times? Okay, that's pretty good. I wasn't sure if they weren't saying that or not. I need these, like, you know, stupid details. Because I just want to know. This is big. This is important. I thought it was a big deal. But very cool. Very cool. We like that. Oh, shit. I'm getting messaged now. Hold on. Oh, you're linking me the video I just watched. Watch the next video? I mean, is there... I mean, at this point, I'm ready to play a game, you know? Like, fuck. Imagine if someone's saying his job is being a moon miner. We might be there. Hank talking
So
about
tomorrow,
oh,
it's going to be announced that for the first time ever, the National Ignition Facility got more power out of a fusion reaction than it put into a fusion reaction. I want to give you a little bit of a primer on this, so when the news comes out, you can feel like you know what's going on. I did not make
this looks good.
Someone else did. But fusion is when you smush two atoms together so hard that they become one atom. When you do this, that new particle is actually a little bit less massive than the two particles were before, because some of that mass became energy. This smushing together of atoms is what powers the...
So it's kind of like if you took an apple and another apple and you fucking hit them so hard together, little pieces of the apple are gonna fly the fuck off. And those little pieces flying off are it's the energy. That is now the energy. Okay.
Powers the sun. As the sun is smushing together atoms, energy is coming out of it, and that is why life can exist on Earth. It would be really nice if we could capture the energy from fusion reaction. There's no radioactive waste, there's no carbon dioxide, basically no pollution. It would be fantastic. We've been wanting to do this for a very long time. But can we? There are a bunch of ways that you can smush things so hard together that the atoms will...
That's fission? No, fission is when you
like using magnetic
take an apple and break it off,
grab
and little
onto,
pieces fall off.
Charged particles and squeeze them until they finally fuse together. But the way that the National Ignition Facility works is that it shoots them with lasers, like the most powerful laser on Earth. Very basically, there's some fusion fuel surrounded by a capsule. And then what they do is they shoot that capsule with a bunch of lasers, like over 100 lasers that are extremely strong. It blows up that capsule, and then that causes some things blowing outward, but also things blowing inward. And that blowing inward squishes all the fuel that's inside of it. That squish then creates fusion, and at the National Ignition Facility, this is important, it creates, theoretically, hopefully, something called ignition. That is when the heat...
That's a fire spell.
There's enough energy being created by the first round of fusion that more fusion starts happening, and that creates more fusion, so more fusion starts happening. As long as you can keep that contained and not like sort of blowing out and then it all just sort of stops and turns off, if you can keep that contained, it will just keep doing fusion and keep producing more energy until the fuel runs out. Now, a couple of years ago at the National Ignition Facility, they announced that they had a reaction that produced more energy than the fuel absorbed, but that wasn't as much energy as the lasers actually put in. It's just like a lot of it doesn't get absorbed by the fuel. But now they've actually gotten more energy out of the reaction than they put in at all. It is a net positive, which is the first time a fusion reaction has ever done this. And while we are a long way away from being able to actually like have a self-sustaining fusion reaction, capturing that excess energy that's being created, putting it on the grid so that we can all use it and have clean power, this is a huge step forward. It's a really big deal. It's the kind of thing that I didn't know, 10 years ago if I'd ever see this. So it's extremely exciting. Congratulations to all those scientists. And here's to the future.
Damn. Okay. So right now, to power those lasers, they're probably using like fucking gasoline or some shit at some point. Maybe, I guess, solar or wind power or whatever. But eventually we're going to have, hopefully, some fusion reactor powering another fusion reactor, powering another fusion, and it's going in this fucking circle because they're coming out with more energy than it costs to operate it. Damn. You only need one. Well, I guess, yeah, you're right. I guess the fusion reactor could power itself in a way because it gets more energy. Maybe it could store that energy for the next time. I don't know. Either way, I kind of get it now. I kind of get it. But it's still going to be like so fucking long till this shit happens. That's crazy.